Let's talk about something that pretty much everyone who has a faith walk has gone through, but we don't always talk about it out loud. Those moments, those seasons, when it feels like God is just silent. It can be so confusing, even painful. So today, we're going to get into what that silence might actually mean.
Wow. This quote from Olivia Davis, it just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? That raw, honest feeling, the sting of waiting year after year for an answer. I'm sure for a lot of us, that feels incredibly familiar.
I mean, really, have you ever been there where you're praying, you're pouring your heart out, and it just feels like your words are hitting the ceiling and falling right back down? If you're nodding along, just know you are so not alone in this.
So let's just name it. Let's call this what it is. The problem we're really tackling here is that deep, profound, sometimes deafening silence you feel when you're looking for God.
And this is where it gets so incredibly tough, because when you're in a season of real struggle, real pain, and that silence just stretches on, man, it can feel absolutely unbearable. That's when the questions start creeping in, right? God, have you forgotten about me? Do you even see what's happening? Okay, so we've named the problem. But what if that silence isn't what we think it is? This is where we get to make a really crucial shift in our thinking, a total reframe. Silence does not equal absence.
So if it's not absence, what could be going on? Well, there are a few possibilities. Maybe it's a call to trust in who God is, his unchanging character, instead of our own up and down feelings. Or maybe it's a season of preparation for something that's coming that you can't see yet. It could even be a time of testing to make your faith stronger, kind of like what Job went through. Or maybe, just maybe, it's a little nudge to go look for answers he's already given us in his word. And sometimes, it's simply an invitation to find rest in what some have called the intimacy of stillness.
And that last point connects perfectly to this amazing Hebrew word, rapha. It doesn't just mean be quiet. It's this beautiful idea of letting go of all your striving, of releasing that white-knuckled grip you have on a situation. The point is, maybe the answer isn't to shout louder, but to consciously let go and just be with God in the quiet.
This whole experience of God feeling distant, it's not a new thing. It's not a modern problem. In fact, it's a theme that shows up again and again in the lives of some of the biggest names in the Bible. Just listen to this. This is King David, the guy called a man after God's own heart, crying out because he feels completely abandoned. But here's the amazing part. Even in his pain, he's still talking to God. He's bringing his rawest, most honest feelings right to him.
And then you have Job. I mean, can you even imagine his suffering? In the middle of losing everything, he's basically pleading, begging for God to just say something. You can just feel that desperate ache for a response, for some kind of sign that he's not alone.
Okay, this one might be the most surprising of all. John the Baptist, the man Jesus himself called the greatest person ever born. And even he, sitting in a prison cell, started to have doubts. He sent his friends to ask Jesus, "Are you really the one?" The point here is so important. Having questions when God is silent is not a sign that your faith is weak. It's a sign that you're human. Now, let's zoom the camera all the way out. Between the end of the Old Testament and the start of the New, there were 400 years, 4 centuries, where it seemed like God went completely silent. No prophets, no new word from heaven. But was God gone? No way. He was quietly setting the stage for the biggest event in human history, the arrival of Jesus. That long national silence was actually the preparation for the ultimate breakthrough.
All right, so we've talked about what this silence feels like, and we've reframed what it could mean. Now let's get super practical. What can we actually do when we're stuck in that waiting room? This is all about active steps you can take.
So what can this look like? Well, first, don't stop praying, but shift how you pray. Get brutally honest with how you're feeling. Second, become a historian of God's goodness in your own life. Look back and remember all the times He's come through before. Third, if you're not getting a new word, go back to the written word. The Bible is full of promises that never change. Fourth, practice that Rapha thing we talked about. Just be still. And finally, anchor yourself in hope. It's about actively choosing to trust His promises.
Let's really drill down on that first one, because it's a total game changer. Prayer. How in the world do you keep talking to someone when it feels like nobody's listening? Well, it's all about changing our idea of what prayer is even for.
The Bible itself gives us the foundation for this. Look at Psalm 62. It's not a suggestion, it's a command, an invitation. Pour out your heart before Him. All of it, the anger, the confusion, the disappointment. Why? Because God is a refuge for us. He's a safe place for all of our messy emotions.
And this is such a key distinction. On the one hand, you have what you could call futile prayer. That's where we just give God a news report he already knows while we stuff down how we really feel. But on the other side, you have this prayer that is a true proclamation of faith. It's inviting God into the mess. It's pouring out the anger and the grief because you actually believe he's there and he can handle it. See the difference? Being brutally honest with God is one of the biggest acts of faith you can make.
I absolutely love this analogy from Corrie ten Boom, a woman who knew a thing or two about enduring darkness. It's just perfect. When life gets dark and you can't see what's ahead, you don't panic and jump off the train. You hold on to your ticket, you sit still, and you trust the one who's driving.
So I want to leave you with this to think about. What if this season of silence in your life